Now that the hull is done, except for anti-fouling and maybe another coat of paint on the boot stripe, I'm shifting my attention back to the aft deck, which, as you know, if you've been following the channel, needs a lot of work. This is day 2 of my visit this week. Yesterday was kind of a bust. I didn't get here till afternoon. Just wasn't feeling up to doing an awful lot. I did a lot of thinking and looking and messed with the drive shaft coupling a little bit more. I'm pickling it right now with P-Blaster because ain't no way those nuts are going to come loose at this moment. But before I leave this evening, I'm going to try my best to remove everything that's got to go back there and take measurements, especially for my plywood, which is kind of step one. I got to replace some of the plywood on the outside of the cockpit tub. I may or may not cut those pieces today with a circular saw. I'd rather do it at home on the table saw, but it doesn't really matter. Either way, I'm going to take them home to epoxy them, because tomorrow, if all goes well, I'll be receiving some West System 2-part epoxy, the 2-to-1 stuff. That should do the job of saturating that plywood as much as possible. Then before I come back here sometime in the next few days, weather permitting, we're looking at today, it's supposed to be, well, it's forecast to be raining right now. It certainly looks like it could at any moment. This is forecast to continue for the next 4 days. I can work under the tarp, so it's no big deal if it's raining. It just kind of puts a damper on things. What was I gonna say? Yes, before I come back, I'm gonna make some rough cuts of white oak for the beams. And in fact, on my way home today, I might leave a little earlier and stop at the store and get more threaded rod and fasteners, stuff like that. I gotta get some paint brushes and rollers. I gotta get measuring cups for the epoxy, because this system doesn't come with the little pumps. It's 2-to-1 though, it doesn't really matter. And so that way, when I return to the boat, I can immediately, boom, start making final cuts of beams and all that jazz. And probably, I mean, if I spend a whole day back there putting stuff together, I could be ready for planks in a day and a half if I really hustle. But I think first I'm going to set up a light back there. I would just pull the tarp back because it's not raining now, but I know as soon as I do and get to work, it'll start raining. I think this morning I'm going to start with this. I've got to remove half of this beam. Shouldn't be an issue as long as I don't try to walk around back there, because this is well supported. Yeah, that'll make it easier to get the rest of this rotten stuff out. I have a little rotten ply. Here. It only goes to the bottom of the beam, thank goodness, but I want to replace that whole chunk. So how does this go together? This lays on top. There's one screw. I think if I'm cutting it anyway, I should be able to get it out of there. Now the issue is going to be, the only fly in the ointment, it's tricky to do this kind of operation because you've got to think about how the new stuff's going to go back in. I think even though it has to go under here, which is in turn under all this, etc., etc., and this is all bolted to the bits, I think I will still be able to use the existing fastener, slip it on there. I can't really back that out anymore, unfortunately. Slip it on there, get it up in here, put my scab on, etc., etc. Well, it's too big. Come on. Yes. No, no, no. Wow. Come on. That's a reusable screw. Take that nut off. Oh, come on. I don't want to have to bust out the socket set for one nut. Haven't even got started. I've already been up and down the ladder about 8 times. Wow, that is a massive screw. A bit much for this location, I would say. There's a story there, I'm sure. Actually, the one on the other side is the same size. And actually, yeah, certainly a longer one was in order. Wow. So much dry rot. Just, wow. Yeah. Carefully. Is that blade bent? No. Get out of the way. No, 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 no. And I'll just randomly make another cut here. Not the pry bar. We don't know if this is glued or not. There's no fasteners on this side. It might be screwed to the ply. I see three screws on that face, but they don't go all the way in. I don't know. Just gonna have at it and see what I can do. Old chisel. Nah, it's not glued. I just gotta cut through it a little bit more. Oof. I gotta cut through that more too. There might be a screw right here. I can kind of see it rocking. Oh. Bingo. Might have just been a nail. No, nothing there. Weird, it was just kind of stuck. Yeah. Yeah, it's pitch pine. It's yellow pine or pitch pine. Very nice. It's about the same quality as the stuff I have at home, but I don't know. This has got me thinking. You know, where it's protected, rather than have to mill down all that 2-inch, I have a ton of this. It's a little wider, but ripping it's easy. 1.5 inches. I might save that oak for something else. It'd be so much easier to make it out of this. Yeah, I brought some pieces down to the boat 2 weeks ago. I might bring them back home and use that. Save the oak for something special. Yeah. If I prime it all, I don't even know if this was primed. Might have got a little skim coat of red lead or something. I don't think so though. I think what I'm going to do before I lay the deck, once I'm done with all this, I'm going to prime everything. Not with Primacon, but a decent topside primer. Off that bolt. Oh, so there's the washer. It's got to go down and up. Oh, brother. This may not work that well. I might have to replace just this one bolt. I'll get another screw here that goes through that stuff. I'm gonna try to cut that off. Yeah, I can't lever it down anymore. I don't think this is gonna work without taking this guy out. Oh, I really didn't want to do that. Really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do this whole project. I could change the way it's set up, but this lap joint is really what's needed here for strength. What is the alternative? Ain't none. I certainly can't order just one bronze carriage bolt from anywhere. And it's not like you can find these at the shelf. Maybe in the shop here, maybe in the chandlery. Or this end, you can't see it from here. This end is rather excessive. I don't know if it needs to be like that. I could probably trim the corner off it and have that corner also missing on the new piece. Yeah, I gotta do it. I've already got this one screw out. These nails could give me some trouble, especially if they're ringed nails, and they almost certainly are. This beast, I don't know if it's a through bolt. Oh, yeah, it's a through bolt. There's a nut on the back. I could make this in 3 pieces. That would be kind of nutso. You know what? I might do that. First piece will have the notch to go under there, and then right on the other side of this, maybe I'll have another joint, and it'll all be scabbed. Another major bilge cleanup soon. I thought about putting something down in here, but a cloth or something, there's no way I could pull it out without getting it all in there anyway. So I'm just gonna have to vac. I've gone over it twice and I can still see stuff I missed before. Yeah, we're gonna do this in 3 pieces. This I don't, better not to disturb it. I think it's not rotten or anything, but better not to disturb it. Now that should, in theory, so again, they had to do this twice. It doesn't surprise me. Which one did I just pull it off of? Uh-oh. I think it was the outer one. Again, I'm going to use this as my pattern, but I think I might lop that corner off there. It doesn't really do anything. What next? These are in great shape. What next? Oh, the plywood. Yeah, I'm just going to work my way forward here. Plywood. Look at that. I'm going to make some marks and get the little cutter. Why is that stuck in my head? Tumbling tumbleweeds. Yeah, it's kind of rotten. What do you think? Consensus? Oh God. I'll catch some of that. I don't see like fruiting bodies or anything, but you know, it's too dried out, I think, to be active, but you never know. Same old story. Whatever isn't just falling apart is very stubborn. No. That's through the plywood behind all the cedar or pine or whatever it is. I don't want to blow that surface up anymore, so I'm just going to keep just kind of cutting these fasteners as I find them. It's just the way it's got to be. The plan is to epoxy the plywood on here without fasteners, like clamp it in place somehow, and then later, if I feel the need, I'll drill through from this face and grab everything, make a nice sandwich with screws. Same with all this, although I'm not going to epoxy the new deck beam to there. Really stubborn. Yeah, baby. was calling you stubborn. I take it all back now. Just from a steady drip for who knows how long. All this from just a steady trickle. Oh, more fasteners, groovy. Now, my new deck is probably going to leak a little, but all I got to do is keep an eye on it, not just let it go for years. Not the end of the world. There's a whole bunch of screws here. Although, assuming this is all original, I'll bet you the original teak over ply probably lasted 20, 30 years without any damage, but then somewhere along the line, because I'm going to guess people like Russ and Dayton looked after her scrupulously. I don't know if she was hauled out every winter or what either, or covered. She did have a beautiful cover at one time, which I really would love to get. I might have to see if I can find a sponsor who makes that stuff, because those things are expensive, especially a full size one. Where are we at here? We gotta take some more screws out. Do we want to go deeper? Yeah, we gotta go deeper. Oh yeah, we gotta go deeper. Actually, that's gonna be C. So you can see I made a little diagram of where they go for reference when I get back to the house. I can cut them all up to the right side. Well, this is going pretty well, but man, all these tiny screws which don't come through here. They're not plugged on the other side, or are they? No. Oh yeah, they are. They're slowing me down. There's 3 here that I could take out. I'll explain why later. You know, I could drill the plugs out. But since there's only 3 of those and there's like 8 of these, I think I'm just going to try to cut them all off here, and then somehow get the rest of this off of here. But first, let's get this out of here. When the new piece goes in, this bolt will clamp it. Shouldn't have to remove this. And then when I put my scab on, I'm going to drill some clearance holes to just go around these, rather than have to drive these out, blow up the plug on that ledge, and get longer bolts. Be a lot simpler. The scab piece will probably get lag bolted to this from the back side. Smaller one, which is a lot of this ply looks pretty good. Maybe I'll just take this off to here and try to scrape off more of this. I'm just going to work around this hole, probably an L-shaped or maybe 2 pieces. Stand here looking at it, or I could do it. Sounds like somebody else is doing some surgery. Oh yeah, loads of it. Whatever this filler is, it's tough. It's really tough. I'm starting to think the answer here, where I have these blobs of this stuff, is to try to peel the epoxy layer away. It's not actually bonded to the tongue and groove, and then I'll just epoxy my plywood right onto it, because it'll take me about 1.5 years to chisel all this away. Oh dear. Oh, I kind of wanted that to stay in there. It does go through into this stuff, kind of. Yeah. Damn it. This is really going to slow me down. And it's a lot of work. Grinder. Can't really get in there with the grinder. Not worth setting it up. I think I'm going to use the oscillator to score this or something. All right, where were we? Great googly moogly. And it's a screw. And that's another screw. Really? No. Same screw. All right, that's looking much better. Pretty rough surface, and I realize it's not all coplanar. I figured rather than pick at that, I'm just going to bed the snot out of this with epoxy or whatever I stick the plywood on. For this corner, that was originally a piece with a right angle on one side and sort of a curve on the other. I don't think it really needs that. I might just sort of leave this open. If I feel like it's necessary at some time later, maybe I'll fiberglass it or something. So basically we're gonna have plywood just meeting like here. Maybe I'll glue another strip of ply on there. I'd rather not have the voids, because that created trouble here. This was all rotted out down in there. And it's not really that critical for strength. So next, I gotta go below. I'm going to lop this corner off, most of it. It's not really doing anything except getting in the way. When it's time to put in the fuel tanks, I'm really going to need to move this. I already cut away a little bit on the other side. I got to do a little more. Then I got to go below and trim this plywood back a few inches in. I think the way I'm going to resolve the ends of the planks there, rather than try to add another rib or something, I might just screw them up into the existing ply, which is kind of a double layer inside here. Actually, what I really want to do, this is, I don't know if it's a third layer. Oh good, there's a joint here. There's 1 or 2 layers of plywood below this. What I want to do is I want to remove enough plywood right up to, not quite all the way through this, but real close to it. And so the very ends of my planks will come in here. There's that other beam just a few inches aft. The support here isn't going to be super critical. It's got to be as watertight as possible, but it's going to be hard to step on that because it's right against the bulkhead. Okay. Ow. Ow. Oh. All right, so that beam on the inside sits about an inch from this hole. So I'm going to come 1.25 inches. I'm not sure what these are going into. Maybe the backside of that beam. I don't know. How wide is it? Yeah, I think they are going into that. So they kind of did what I'm thinking of doing. Actually, yeah, hold up. Let me see. Yeah, the bulkhead's there, the teak plywood beam. I am going to take these screws out. And I'm going to cut, I'm going to cut to about there. And then I'll have this to get I might even be able to use these screws if they're long enough. That'd be cool. Well, that'll just add another fun step to this. I was tempted to grab now you know what? The cordless circ saw won't even fit in here. So I'm going to have to do it the really, really hard way. Oh, I can't really lie down in here. This is what I'm dealing with here. Oh, this is gonna suck so bad. But it's gotta be done. Yeah, a lot of these are spinning anyway. I don't know why. Maybe the wood above is soft or something. They seem to only be going through the bottommost layer of ply. I'm gonna cut my line and try to work them out as I pry that excess off. I wish I could use this line. It would save me having to mark it. I gotta double check that measure. The beam is 1.5 inches wide, or it's really more like a cleat. On my finger is 1.5 inches wide. The line they drew, which I've accented here because it's not very continuous, falls right here, pretty much in the middle of the beam. I don't know what these screws are screwed into. Maybe my theory is correct that it only goes into the upper layer of ply or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to cut on this pencil line that somebody else made and see how that works for me. That'll get me under that chunk of wood, that 2x2 that's above inside that area. I think I'm going to shoot more video when I'm done because just doing this at all in here is nearly impossible, and having to move the camera to get nice, pretty shots and all that would be a burden I don't want to add. Sorry. I know some people love to watch other people suffer, I guess. I'll see you when I'm done. Yeah, I kind of forgot about this. In the starboard locker. This would be a good opportunity to be a little more final about that repair. Maybe graft in a piece, extend that beam thing all the way across. I'm gonna kind of have to. That's good. We've added another step to this project. Always a good thing. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Well, another month, some more new rot. I happened to notice when I was looking at that, which has been sort of stabilized, that this beam, I don't know why, there was a wedge fitted in here. It fell right out, soaking wet. This is wet. There's a little mold growing. It's wetter than it was because I hosed it down with vinegar solution just now. Actually with a little bit of boric acid mixed in. I'm going to squirt some more in there and leave it be for now. I can deal with this in the water if I have to. The question is more rainwater getting in, or is this just a pocket of old wetness? Yeah, it's right near that pad eye. You can see not that screw line, but the next one. There's no water pulling there presently, but it's kind of hard to say. With any luck, it'll kind of air out over the next week or so, and then we'll know. But meanwhile, got to get back to this, one thing at a time. I finally found a position where I'm comfortable doing this. Let's look at what we got here. I think I'm just about done for today. I made it halfway across. There's some job related stuff I gotta deal with this afternoon. So I'm gonna leave pretty soon. I gotta tidy up and finish making all my measurements. Yeah, aside from the rot issue, which smooth the light. All right. Yeah, aside from the rot issue, this is constructed a little differently than I thought. This is the bottom of that sort of quarter round teak. This is the vertical face of the bulkhead. The beam doesn't sit under that. Excuse me, it goes up to it. The rest of the beam is, there's another inch of it or so there. It should be an inch and a half, but so the bottom of my black locust has to be flush with this because it's going to lie on top of the other beams. The top of it has to tuck up under here. I don't think I want to cut this away underneath that. It's fragile. I don't think. Yeah, some of these screws are kind of toe-nailed in. I don't want to risk cutting them. So what I'm going to have to do is notch the ends of all these pieces, which isn't the end of the world, but it's just going to add time and effort. This is a chunk of teak from the old deck. I got to pry under the bedding. I'll do that from up top. As for all this nonsense, which is dry, believe it or not, that new wetness, it hasn't, I think it's another leak altogether. I don't think it's the source of all this, although maybe it was. Maybe it was all along. From above, I guess I'm going to cut this chunk out and throw some oak in there with a bunch of epoxy. Try to get it behind this plywood. There's so much epoxy I put in already and whatnot. Yeah, that's that other stuff that I used. I can't remember what the product was. Hard as a freaking rock. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that before I can lay all these. But that's fine. All the other framing I got to do and the plywood on the tub, I don't need to finish this job or do that before that happens. There's time enough. It's just unfortunate. This is going to add a couple of days. Everything that's going on inside there is going to add a couple of days to this project. That other beam inside that I showed you, I could deal with that later on the water. But this, I got to, in order to lay this, especially because I got to do a funky piece, a filler piece here to accommodate the new drain. I got to make this a little more solid before I try to, I don't want to just stick that in there. It's got to attach to something. And that's where we're at. It's been real. This will come down the pipe. What is it, Saturday? It'll be a couple. Actually, I might be able to upload it by tomorrow. We'll see. I'm pretty shot right now. By the time I get home, I'm going to be really shot. But there's always tomorrow morning. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you later.